Welcome to Royal Secret. The grandeur of the royal ball is unmatched. Held annually in the sprawling Christianborg Palace, it draws dignitaries, aristocrats, international royalty, and select guests from around the world. But this year's event had a different energy. A buzz of speculation surrounded it from the start. Since King Frederik's accession in January, the Danish royal family has been navigating a delicate transition. After the monumental abdication of Queen Margrethe II, the new king and queen were thrust into their roles with the eyes of not just Danes, but the world upon them. While Frederik and Mary have always been the picture of elegance and poise, recent weeks had stirred questions. Why had Queen Mary been absent from several engagements? Was the couple under strain? The royal ball, many speculated, would be a performance of unity, or further evidence of division. What no one expected was a confession. It was a scene worthy of a movie. Queen Mary appeared in a breathtaking custom tiara, sparkling with Australian opals, a nod to her homeland, and wore a floor-length white silk gown embroidered with Danish national flowers. The symbolism was powerful, a queen standing at the crossroads of two worlds, embodying unity in diversity. Observers noted how King Frederik, standing at the head of the royal staircase, paused longer than expected when he saw Mary enter. Cameras caught the subtle tightening of his jaw, the warmth in his eyes. Body language experts later described it as the look of a man overwhelmed with emotion. Something in the air shifted, reported Annika Borg, a royal correspondent for Bild Bladet. There was an intensity between them that we don't often see at public events. As per tradition, the king and queen opened the first dance. The orchestra swelled with a soft waltz as Frederik and Mary stepped onto the floor. Guests applauded politely, but all eyes were on the royal couple. This was the moment many had awaited. Throughout the dance, whispers erupted among the guests. Was King Frederik speaking softly into Queen Mary's ear? Was she smiling in surprise? According to a lip-reading expert from Danish TV2, he reportedly said, "I have something I must say tonight. Not as your king, but as your husband." The queen's hand reportedly trembled slightly. What came next would silence the entire room. After the first dance, King Frederik requested the microphone. This was unprecedented. No sitting Danish monarch had ever delivered a personal speech at this event. The room fell silent. His voice shook slightly at first, but then grew stronger. In fluent Danish, Frederik began by thanking the guests for their presence, praising the strength and dignity of the Danish people in this period of royal change. Then, turning toward Queen Mary, his tone softened. "For over 2 decades, he said, you have stood beside me. Not as a figure of ceremony, but as my compass, my strength, my heart. I am not only grateful, I am still, every day, in awe of you." The gasps were audible. A few guests were seen wiping tears. Queen Mary placed her hand over her heart. "Tonight, in front of our family, our friends, and our country," he continued, "I want to say what I have perhaps not said enough. I love you. And I will love you for all the days of my life." The applause erupted like a wave. Queen Mary, clearly moved, rose from her seat and embraced the king. The orchestra played softly as the two shared a quiet, tearful moment in front of the entire ballroom. Within minutes, clips of the speech flooded Danish and global social media. Royal historian Jens Alstrup told DR News, "This wasn't just a personal declaration, it was a public redefinition of monarchy. It humanized the crown, and the public agreed." Thousands flooded the royal family's official Instagram with heart emojis, thank you comments, and comparisons to classic fairy tales. But this was no fairy tale. It was real, emotional, raw, and timely. The Danish monarchy, like many in Europe, walks a fine line between tradition and relevance. For decades, Queen Margrethe held the crown with intellectual gravitas and artistic flair, but emotional vulnerability was rarely on display. King Frederik's moment changed that. He gave Denmark something we hadn't seen since the days of King Christian IX, a royal moment of unfiltered humanity, says historian Els Jorgensen. In a world saturated with celebrity couples and curated images, Frederik and Mary stood out because of their authenticity. Their love story began in 2000 at a Sydney pub during the Olympics. She was Mary Donaldson, a marketing professional from Tasmania. He was Crown Prince Frederik, incognito for the night. Many doubted the relationship at first. But Mary learned Danish, embraced royal duties with poise, and became a symbol of the modern monarchy. Their journey hasn't been without hardship, relentless media scrutiny, royal protocol, and the weight of representing an entire nation. Yet through it all, they endured. We brought in top European body language analyst Clara Halfson to interpret the couple's behavior at the ball. When Queen Mary looked into Frederik's eyes after the speech, Halfson says, her shoulders dropped slightly, signaling emotional relief. She wasn't expecting it, but she welcomed it. Clara also noted how King Frederik held Mary's hand throughout the final waltz, something he rarely does in formal settings. It was symbolic, she said. He was not just leading the dance. He was holding on, emotionally and physically. Sitting in the front row, Princess Isabella and Prince Christian were seen smiling and clapping warmly. It was a rare show of family unity in an age of constant royal drama. Observers noted how Isabella, who just celebrated her 18th birthday, appeared emotional as her parents embraced. You could see the pride in their eyes, one guest commented. This wasn't just a moment for Denmark, it was a moment for their children. Even international figures reacted to the viral clip. Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden posted a heart emoji on Queen Mary's Instagram. Kate Blanchett, a fellow Australian, tweeted, "Queen Mary is the Queen of Hearts tonight." Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen released a statement calling the speech a beautiful reminder of the humanity behind the crown. Experts believe the speech will mark a turning point for the monarchy. We are seeing a softer, emotionally present monarchy under Frederik and Mary, says political scientist Morten Dalgaard. That's exactly what the modern public needs. Polls taken the next morning showed Frederik and Mary's approval ratings had surged by nearly 15%. Staff insiders report that after the event, the King and Queen shared a quiet family dinner with their children. Laughter was heard echoing from the private wing, a contrast to the palace's typical formality. The King was relaxed, radiant even, one staff member shared anonymously. It was the happiest we've seen him in years. From the strained body language of Prince Harry and Meghan to the distant formality of King Charles and Queen Camilla, many royal couples struggle with public perception. But Frederik and Mary, they've set a new standard. Their love story is no longer just romantic, says international royal expert Marina Velasco. It's revolutionary. Ultimately, King Frederik's speech wasn't just for Mary, it was for the people. In showing his heart, he reminded the Danish public that the monarchy is not just a relic. It is a living institution, capable of growth, emotion, and connection. As the final candles flickered in the ballroom and the guests slowly departed into the Copenhagen night, a hush still lingered in the air. History had been made, and somewhere in the royal apartments, away from the cameras and scrutiny, a king and queen, no longer just titles, but people, held each other just a little closer. In a world starved for authentic love stories, King Frederik gave us something unforgettable, a declaration that transcended protocol, ceremony, and even monarchy itself. To understand the full impact of King Frederik's confession, we must look at Queen Mary's personal journey, a trajectory unlike any royal consort before her. Born Mary Elizabeth Donaldson in 1972 in Hobart, Tasmania, her early life was grounded in academic discipline and middle-class values. Her path to royalty was not paved with nobility or wealth, but with intelligence, emotional intelligence, and an open heart. A university graduate, Mary was working in advertising when she met the man who would one day become king. Since entering the Danish royal family in 2004, she has faced scrutiny, cultural shifts, linguistic challenges, and enormous expectations. And yet, Mary has never faltered. She has done what few others could, says Australian journalist Murray Thompson. She's adapted not just to royal life, but to an entire national identity, while still keeping her own. Mary's quiet endurance has earned her admiration from royal watchers and feminists alike. And that's why Frederik's public confession hit so deeply. It was not just a declaration of love, but an acknowledgement of all she had sacrificed. The Danish monarchy, despite its ancient roots, operates with understated elegance. Rarely emotional, often private, and while this has helped preserve its dignity, it has also sometimes left the public yearning for connection. That's why this moment, raw, unrehearsed, sincere, resonated so powerfully. It gave people permission to feel proud of their monarchy again, said Nikolai Dreyer, a social historian. Not just because of tradition, but because of love. For younger Danes in particular, who often see monarchies as outdated, King Frederik's gesture made the crown feel human, modern, and emotionally accessible. One TikTok user wrote, "This is the king I'd follow. Not because he wears a crown, but because he has a heart." Royal tradition is not known for flexibility. Every word, every gesture, every glance is scrutinized. So for King Frederik to take an unapproved moment in the middle of a formal state event to share something so personal, it was a deliberate deviation from protocol. According to Danish royal insider Karsten Thorsen, the king's speech was not vetted beforehand. "This wasn't on the program," Thorsen reveals. "There were gasps behind the scenes. Advisors didn't know how it would be received. But Frederik insisted. This raises a powerful point. Authentic emotion in monarchy is a calculated risk. And in this case, it paid off in spades. Observers have noted that Queen Margrethe II, who was present at the ball, wore a subtle smile during the speech, but remained otherwise composed. Her body language, however, said more than words. She nodded slightly when Frederik said, "Thank you for standing beside me," noted lip reader Anna Ostergaard. That was a quiet endorsement. In a monarchy where approval is often silent, the Queen Mother's approval, however subtle, was loud in its implications. Was this moment also a soft passing of emotional leadership from Margrethe to Frederik? Many believe so. Let's bring in renowned Danish psychologist Dr. Elise Brandt, who specializes in public figures and emotional communication. What we saw at the royal ball was not just a man confessing love, Brandt explains. We saw vulnerability, and in a leader, that's one of the most powerful traits. Brandt adds that this act of openness triggers a kind of collective empathy. It makes the public feel included, as if they're witnessing something intimate. It creates loyalty, not through power, but through relatability. Mary's gown deserves its own chapter. Designed by Danish couture house Jesper Hovering, the white gown with silver threading and opal accents was a masterpiece of symbolism. White symbolizes new beginnings, perhaps reflecting her new life as queen. Opals, sourced from Australia, represent purity and truth. Silver floral embroidery featured both Australian eucalyptus leaves and Denmark's national flower, the daisy, an elegant nod to Queen Margrethe's nickname, Daisy. Her dress was a bridge between her past and her present, explains royal fashion expert Lena Hone. And when Frederik gave his speech, she was literally wearing their history. International headlines were quick to react. Le Figaro called it the most human royal moment in modern European history. The Guardian dubbed Frederik the King of Hearts. Australia's Sydney Morning Herald proudly splashed the headline, "Our Mary's Royal Moment." Even American outlets, often skeptical of monarchy, praised the gesture. The New York Times noted, "While many royal families are embroiled in scandal, Denmark gave the world a rare moment of emotional honesty." 2 days after the royal ball, Princess Isabella, now 18 and stepping into public duties, gave her first official comment to the press. "It was beautiful," she said simply. "I've never been prouder of my parents." Her comment, though brief, was powerful. It marked a generational moment, one in which the younger royals feel emboldened to speak emotionally, openly, and without fear of breaking with old traditions. How will Frederik X be remembered compared to his predecessors? Unlike his stoic father Henrik or academic mother Margrethe, Frederik has always worn his heart on his sleeve. But until now, that has never been publicly formalized. This speech signaled the start of his own royal legacy, one that values not just duty, but emotional integrity. He may become the first Scandinavian monarch known not just for leadership, speculates Swedish historian Clara Martinsson, but for love. Every tradition starts somewhere. It's already being rumored that next year's royal ball will include a brief speech segment, perhaps even from Queen Mary herself. And the public wants more. Royal commentator Ingrid Robeck says, "This event has reignited interest in the monarchy. It feels more like a partnership now. The people want to see more of their humanity." There's even speculation that the moment may be featured in future state documentaries or become part of educational material on modern monarchy. In a world filled with cynicism, political conflict, and emotional detachment, a moment like this breaks through. It reminds people, royal or not, that love is still powerful. Whether you're sitting on a throne or walking through daily life, the choice to be vulnerable, grateful, and expressive is one that changes the energy around you. King Frederik's speech wasn't just a moment for Denmark. It was a message to the world. The emotional force of King Frederik's declaration didn't just stop at Denmark's borders. Within days of the royal ball, international monarchies and commentators were abuzz. In Sweden, Queen Sylvia was reportedly deeply moved by the televised moment. Crown Princess Victoria is said to have praised it privately as a testament to royal unity and modern love. In Norway, Queen Sonia's office released a rare public comment noting, "The King and Queen of Norway found the Danish royal ball a beautiful celebration of devotion and heritage." Even in the United Kingdom, still rocked by internal tensions between Prince Harry and the rest of the royal family, some British media subtly drew comparisons. While some royals are tearing their families apart, others are putting them together with heartfelt truth. The Independent royal biographer Angela Levin commented on live radio, "King Frederik is offering a model of what monarchy could be in the 21st century, open, loving, still dignified." On social media, the love confession exploded. Within 24 hours of the ball, fan art of Frederik and Mary flooded TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Queen Mary's gown was recreated digitally in Sims 4 and AI-generated artwork. One viral TikTok, showing a slowed clip of Frederik looking into Mary's eyes during the speech, gained 4.7 million views in 2 days. The caption, "Find someone who looks at you the way King Frederik looks at his queen." Fan accounts popped up overnight. New memes showed Frederik with angel wings, others titled him, "The Romantic King," or, "The Crown with a Heart." A touching Reddit post read, "I'm not even Danish, but I cried watching this. They're not just royals, they're real. This is what we need more of in our world." Royal historians drew fascinating parallels between Frederik and Mary and another iconic royal couple, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Though centuries apart, both couples represented a marriage of love over duty, a monarch deeply reliant on their spouse for emotional grounding, a moment where love reshaped public perception of the crown. Dr. Marta Helsing, a royal scholar, notes, when Queen Victoria lost Albert, she mourned for decades. He wasn't just a husband, he was her compass. Frederik's speech, though joyful, carried the same weight. He was telling us, "Mary is my everything." Let's pause and remember. This story almost sounds fictional. A young Australian woman meets a European prince in a Sydney pub. She leaves behind everything to step into a 1,000-year-old monarchy. She learns a new language, takes on a national identity, and earns her people's love. And 20 years later, her husband, the king, stands up before the world and tells her she made him the man he is. It's a movie plot, but it's real. In fact, fans online have launched petitions asking streaming platforms to produce a royal romance series based on their life. A speculative casting list for Mary and Frederik is already circulating. According to European media scholar Drive, Henrik Madsen, King Frederik's speech will likely be studied in communication courses as a rare example of emotive leadership. It was a performance, yes, but an authentic one, and that's incredibly hard to balance. The Danish Royal Academy is even rumored to be preparing an official analysis of the speech for historical archives. "This isn't just a speech," Drive Madsen said, "it's a cultural turning point." While Queen Mary didn't speak at the royal ball, her expressions did. Footage analyzed by lip readers and body language experts shows Mary whispering quietly after the speech, "Thank you, my love." But it was her eyes, glistening, locked onto Frederik's, that carried the weight of her response. She was crying, but not breaking, says non-verbal expert Kaya Ren. Her smile was both proud and overwhelmed. That's what true love looks like, mutual awe. Later that night, the couple were photographed holding hands as they left the palace, a rarity for formal royal occasions. For Gen Z and millennials, who often question the relevance of monarchy, this moment was unexpectedly resonant. Instagram influencers with no prior royal interest reposted clips of the ball. One popular Dutch travel vlogger said, "This made me cry. I didn't think I could care about a royal event, but this, wow." Frederik and Mary have now entered the space where royal legacy meets emotional storytelling, something no PR campaign could manufacture. Of course, not every voice was celebratory. A few political pundits criticized the gesture, arguing it risked emotionalizing the crown. One Danish tabloid suggested the speech was a distraction from real issues. Royal historian Ulf Kjeldsen, however, countered these criticisms. The idea that love is apolitical is false. It is perhaps the most unifying political act there is. It's clear that King Frederik X's reign is shaping into something new, modern, emotionally expressive, and unexpectedly profound. Gone is the idea that monarchy must always remain cold, detached, and ritualistic. We are watching a monarch lead not just by duty, says royal expert Caroline Mikkelsen, but by emotional courage. The era of Frederick and Mary is no longer just about upholding traditions. It's about redefining them. Looking back, June 1, 2025, will go down in history not merely as a date on the royal calendar, but as a transformative cultural moment. It gave Denmark a more human monarchy. It gave the world a rare glimpse of emotional nobility. And it gave all of us something we didn't know we needed. In a world too often marked by division, performance, and silence, Frederick stood in front of a nation and said something simple, pure, and powerful: "You made me the man I am." That sentence now echoes through Danish history. Now it's your turn to be part of this story. We want to hear from you. Do moments like this, public expressions of love from leaders, restore your faith in institutions? Should monarchies remain emotionally reserved, or embrace this new wave of transparency? And how did you feel watching Frederik speak those unforgettable words? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more royal deep dives and emotional moments that shape our world. And remember, this isn't just a crown. It's a heartbeat. You've just witnessed the love story that stunned a kingdom and the world.